Happy Wednesday, Georgian Bay. Welcome to this week's episode of The Scoop, your backstage pass to the people, stories, and conversations shaping our community. I'm Janene, and I'm so excited about the three incredible guests we have lined up for you today. But first, let's check in with my fabulous co-hosts, Katerina and Nadia. Ladies, how was your week? Please tell me you absolutely unwinded this.
Oh, unwind?
What's that?
I don't think that's in my vocabulary, really. No, this week was a little nuts, but luckily, you know, I did get a little bit of me time. What about you, Katerina?
Yeah, I'd like to take a few hours here and there where I can just to read. Now I found some really good books, so I'm very excited. Or like to take a bath. So for me, reading, taking a bath, or just relaxing and decompressing like that a little bit. So yeah, trying to squeeze it in, you know, in the moments where you're really busy and being like, you need at least an hour in bed. Just open up the book. Do not touch your phone. Open up the book. The phone is like, no.
I love that.
No doom scrolling for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Unwinding is such a good thing. It's an absolute necessity for me. I know. I love to sit on my sofa. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
Okay? Sit on my sofa in my onesie. If ever you come to my place, 9 out of 10 times you will find me in a onesie or some sort of leisure wear.
Animal onesies?
You know the ones with the little butt flap things?
Oh, like
yes. Like whatever you want to call it. Yes, those.
The lumberjack or the thermal underwear.
You just feel so good and comforted.
I feel perfect in them, okay? Has like little beer bum signs on it.
They're so cute. Warm and cozy. I get it. I get the appeal.
Yeah. Well, when you're unwinding, what's your go-to drink? Like, is it a glass of wine? Is it a cup of tea?
Tea. I love tea. I can't not have a cup of tea at least once a day.
Really?
Absolutely. My mother will drink tea consistently throughout the day. Consistently. I'm just going to heal up my friend Tisha. I'm not going to mention wine because you know how we get when it's wine. Oh my God, it's horrible.
I feel like there's a story time there.
We'll definitely need to dive into that. Yeah.
Well, I am
like
soda water. It's super boring.
No, but
it's
healthy.
Boring.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it has bubbles. I find like, you know, water with bubbles for whatever reason is very festive.
Elevated water.
Elevated
water.
Water.
That's what it is.
It's like an elevated water.
When my daughter was
glass.
my daughter was younger, she used to call it fancy water.
It is.
Yeah, I did too.
It is. Pop a fruit in there.
There you go.
Crazy.
It's super fancy.
Or
Go
some
crazy.
berries. You know what people
Mint
do is
leaves.
like, mint leaves. Yeah, you could do a concoction of things, but people freeze like berries in ice cubes, and so then they add it to the water. There you go.
Oh my goodness.
Boom, done.
There you go.
Who are these people on Pinterest that have time for this stuff? I'm like,
That's a simple thing. You
It
just
is,
put
right?
berries and like put the tray underwater and freeze it.
I
There.
hear you. In
Saved you so
theory,
much
I
time.
hear you, but like my ice comes out of the fridge, and that is like
Oh, I see. Okay, you have a fancy fridge.
that was my point.
I feel.
I'm it's not lazy. I'm short on time.
No, I feel we need to go to her house, freeze some fruit,
Yes.
and put it in the freezer for you.
Okay,
So whenever
I
you
feel
do
like
this-
there's an intervention here.
something's coming.
soda
Something's
water.
coming. Yes, elevated soda water, please.
Oh my gosh. Well, whatever your drink of choice is, our first guest knows a thing or two about how they get made. After the break, we're chatting with an innovative Collingwood-based company who helps small and mid-sized beverage brands bring their creations to life. Ooh, from recipe to retail. Stick around.
I don't know. Nailed it.
Welcome back to The Scoop. Our first guest today running full-scale beverage production facility right here in Collingwood, helping drink brands turn big ideas into bottled reality, whether it's wine, spirits, or something alcohol-free.
Ooh.
What began as a craft distillery grew into a full production hub supporting other entrepreneurs.
Please welcome Chris Morrison and Brad Mear from LaunchPad Copac. Woo! Thanks so much for being here, you guys. Tell us who you are and what you do, and what is LaunchPad Copac?
LaunchPad Copac is a company that started a number of years ago. It's a small team. Myself, Brad, my brother Scott, who couldn't make it here today, takes care of a lot of our sales side, a lot of our customer relationships, works with our investors, and kind of manages our executive team.
He's our CEO.
I take care of our operations as our COO. all of our day-to-day operations, scheduling, planning, operating our equipment, managing our 15 individual team through production processes, also working with customers on the raw material side, sourcing, working with our ERP and inventory systems. So all of the nuts and bolts between selling a job to a customer and delivering a full finished product to that customer.
And I'm the Chief Facility Officer, and so to talk about nuts and bolts, I literally deal with all the nuts and bolts.
We started as a craft distillery before COVID, and then transitioned through the pandemic to a number of different business categories, such as producing hand sanitizer to help our first responders and different individuals in the community. And then in the last couple of years has transitioned through filling some other needs in the community, specifically helping other brands and beverage companies grow from some of their smaller organizations up to full-scale brands at some large retail chains such as Sobeys, Loblaws, and other channels.
Holy moly. Okay, let's take this story way, way, way back. So we're looking at pre-pandemic, and you said it's a craft distillery. First of all, can you start with, so Heretic Spirits is where we began. This is where our story began.
Yeah, so we started as a craft distillery late 2018, I think is when the idea first started. It was just a logo and an idea, and then through 2019, by the end of 2019, we were in the liquor stores. So because we have the appropriate licensing and facility to handle large volumes of ethanol, we pivoted into hand sanitizer. A lot of distilleries did. And then hand sanitizer forced us into buying a bunch of production equipment for faster bottling, and we did 2 million liters of hand sanitizer in 2020, 2021. And then the bottom dropped out of hand sanitizer, and we had all this production equipment. And so once again, we had to pivot and looked into doing co-packing. So LaunchPad Co-Pack is a owned subsidiary of Heretic Spirits. We put together a pretty amazing set of equipment in a very, very short time during the pandemic. And so we kind of had to go with what we could get and then make it all work together. So it's been, between Scott and I, we've basically rebuilt every piece of equipment we have and joined it to the other pieces of equipment.
And we grew up together. We actually, it had been, I think, probably close to 25 years since I'd seen Brad.
But we've known each other 50, almost 50.
Yeah, our parents have known each other since before we were born. The story goes back quite a ways.
So that's why we haven't killed each other yet.
And your parents all live now?
Yeah, very
between
close
Mississauga
to
Beach and Collingwood.
Wow. Yeah. So it's all come full circle.
That's right. Yeah.
So LaunchPad, what was the idea behind the name for that? I'm picturing like poo-poo-shoo, right? Like a launch pad is where people take off.
The idea is taking brands that have an idea, or they have a beverage or a couple of SKUs, but it's gone beyond the point where they're doing it in their kitchen or in their small production facility. They're looking to grow and scale, and they don't have the capacity to do that. They don't have the equipment. They may or may not have the knowledge to scale and commercialize their recipes.
Right.
They have the supply chain, but they don't have the capacity to produce. So that's where we come in. So they take on the role of doing all the raw material sourcing, all of the acquisition of those. They ship them to us, and then we essentially build the product. We do all the mixing, the blending. We have on-site carbonation. We do pasteurization. We do all of the quality control components for beverage packaging. So we have a few different production lines ranging from canning to bottling, carbonated, non-carbonated, alcohol, non-alcohol, everything from tea-based beverages to kombuchas. To help brands scale beyond their current capacities. And then they can manage the sales channel in their business, and they can manage their business, and we take care of all their production needs.
Okay.
That's amazing.
That's wow.
So you're basically taking people's like dreams, their vision that they were building their chemistry thing in the basement and making it drinkable.
We can do everything from one end to the other. Yeah, we can start with just a concept and develop a recipe with you, or you can come to us with a recipe, and then we can do everything right up to packaging and putting it into stores.
And we've had customers go from non-alcoholic product to include alcoholic products in their SKUs and vice versa. We actually have some local companies that we work with quite locally, which are just spouses or husbands and wives that are had the brand on their own, but then got beyond the idea of doing one or two farmers markets on a Saturday morning and are now into major grocery and retail channels.
Do you find people coming from other places specifically to come work with you guys?
From all over.
Yeah.
We have a client in South Carolina. We have
Wow.
from all over.
We have a team of 15 people who are very hardworking local individuals. Some have kind of moved closer to us for work, but we got a great team.
Creating lots of job opportunities in Collingwood as well. I think we could probably do an entire episode on how you actually got to where you are today. Like, how did you grow from just an idea to Heritage Experience to LaunchPad and acquiring all of this equipment? But I won't get into all of the crowdfunding and crowdsourcing and schmoozing that must have gone on, and like
that is where
cocktail parties and winks and the handshake deals. I won't get into that. However, if you were to give some advice to somebody who has a great idea, they are crafting a recipe in their kitchen or in their basement, or I look at you like you're crafting something like I'm
a painter, like not my.
I don't even cook, so I definitely don't make drinks. But how would they take it to the next level? Like what would be the step? Like, can they just email you and be like, hey, I have an idea? Or does it have to be a little more elevated than that?
Well, we can support them in a number of different capacities, as Brad mentions. We work with a number of customers in recipe development. They have an idea. We can work through that with them. I think if they have the vision, making sure that they have a thought around how they're going to sell the product, how they're going to market the product, we can help them on the development side. It's really their responsibility to know what they're going to do with it after that. Because again, producing a product, you have to have those sales channels in place, or at least have an idea how it's going to get out to the final consumer.
Right.
And we can help them with a lot of the internal workings of their company.
Do people sometimes just have like a really catchy title? They're like, I have a product, it's called Funky Monkey or whatever it is that they come up with, and you're like, I can see that.
We can do that. Most of our clients now come to us sort of with a solid idea already, and then we just elevate them, take to the next level. Chris scales recipes for them,
and we've also now got quite a portfolio of individuals, raw material suppliers, food food technicians, microbiologists, process authorities, the individuals that they would need to take it from their, for lack of a better term, garage up to Sobeys, Loblaws, the larger chains. And we even had one customer that just got picked up by Costco.
Exciting.
That's so ladies, you can come up with your tea concoctions, because they do non-alcoholic. And we can bottle it and become
when you said you just need to have an idea, my mind
just started running.
What can I create? This opens up so many opportunities, things that you never thought to, because you don't usually have access to it. It's just it feels so out of place,
reach,
or like
sometimes.
out of reach. There you go. Just stir,
like being an inventor and having a person that might say yes, probably will say yes when you pitch it to them. So we had such a great time with Chris and Brad back at the Simcoe Street Theatre that we thought we would come visit Scott Morrison, the CEO of the company, here in person. So Scott, thank you so much for having us today.
Thanks for coming by to take a look at LaunchPad. LaunchPad concept was because I've had such a long background in marketing. What we were starting to find was that there was a niche in the market where if you had an order for $100,000, the big producers would talk to you. If you were in a spot where you were starting up, nobody would pay any attention. No one had suites of services, no one had any way to support you at all. So we created a program where we would start helping companies everything from a husband and wife saying, oh, your mom's lemonade is fantastic, we should market this, all the way through, oh, we've been selling into farmers markets, but now we can't make enough because we just got into Loblaws. So there was a niche where nobody was helping them. And so we were able to kind of fill a void in the market. But the other plan is, because we've been helping the businesses since their infancy, we're not in a space where someone else can outcompete us on price. Price is a huge consideration in this market, but we're trying to provide the services that are so ingrained in our customers' business that they can't even consider leaving us. It creates a great partnership and a great strategic plan going forward.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Sorry.
I was going to talk to you. I don't know why.
Here's Nadia's ear.
My spidey senses didn't even feel you over here, though. I was so
Chris and Brad, thank you so much for being on the show today, and thank you for sharing your story about resilience and everything that you do for the community to help small business owners.
And speaking of community, you won't want to miss our next guest. She spent years working at the heart of Simcoe County, using the arts to uplift youth, spark dialogue, and create more inclusive spaces for all.
We'll be right back with that conversation right after this quick break. Welcome back to The Scoop. It's time for our Let's Talk About It segment, where we shine a light on the conversations that matter most in our community.
Our next guest is someone who has been creating meaningful change across Simcoe County for decades through art community engagement and a deep commitment to diversity and inclusion.
She's the program director at Making Change Simcoe County, a grassroots organization focused on raising awareness, educating, and sparking conversations about equity and anti-racism in our region.
In 2022, she was named one of the top 100 Black women to watch in Canada by Canada International Black Women Excellence, a national organization that celebrates outstanding leadership and advocacy.
Please welcome to The Scoop, Laura LaChapelle.
Thank you. Thank
In your awesome skirt.
Yes, I went all out. This little thing.
Okay, Laura, let's start by learning a bit about you, who you are, what you do, and what Making a Change Simcoe is all about.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Simcoe County, so I have a deep love here. I moved up here from the city back in 1981.
What?
Yes, I know.
You're like one of the original
Yeah,
people.
OG Colin.
I so want to know what Collingwood was like, what Simcoe was like back then, but let's get back to the
Another
question.
episode.
It was
Another episode.
very, very different, let
Yeah.
me tell you. But I actually grew up in Creemore.
Okay.
So the livestock outnumbered the people between Dunedin and Creemore, legitimately. So if you can imagine, for those that know Toronto, I went from Jane and Eglinton
Oh, well.
to
Yeah.
Creemore. So it was
It's quite a change.
a life adjustment. So I didn't realize living in Jane and Eglinton that I was even somebody of a different race. Like everybody was everything. There was so much diversity. So I didn't stand out. But the minute I came up to Creemore, we were hit hard with the reality of racism. And not just, behind closed doors racism, outwardly. Like just
wow.
walking
Oh my
along the
gosh.
street.
Seriously?
It was really difficult. And to be put in a school setting where suddenly every kid was white except for me. And I'm half Jamaican and half Ukrainian French. And,
wow.
I know, it's a mix.
That's a mix.
It's a mix. I'm light skinned, but I still dealt with the same racism that, any other full Black person went through. And that was a hard reality. I did make a best friend. So, I had a lot of fun growing up. Like I learned about animals and livestock and mucking around the sheep pen and all that. Like it was great. So overall I did have a positive experience. But those challenges definitely helped me to be a strong woman, a strong person, a strong mother, and a strong advocate for the community. But after growing up in Creemore, I did go to university. I went to University of Toronto, and I came back home and I got involved in theater, and I was actually in healthcare for 20 years at the PSW. Yeah.
Wow.
But COVID and the murder of George Floyd, that changed so many of us, where we felt like it was a call to action. And so that's where Making Change was formed, was that mobilization of, women in the Black community in Barrie coming together. We've got to do something. And then I came on board.
Tell us, what exactly is Making a Change?
Well, we are this collective nonprofit organization. We've got an amazing board of directors, and I'm so proud to be the program director because you get to, discover little programs and ideas and activities and take people's thoughts and ideas and come up with what is the need in the Black community, where are the challenges, and what can we do to help with that and to help navigate some of those challenges, because the challenges are real here in Simcoe County for the Black community. They don't feel heard, they don't feel understood, there's a lack of representation. I certainly felt that growing up in school. And so the organization brings in programs. We do run on grants, so I fill out and apply for the grants, and once a grant has been won, then that program can, take that next step, right? Which is really exciting. And then we work together and sort of put all those pieces together and come up. So it takes about a year for us to come up with, from beginning to end, a whole program. So one example of a program we did is called Canvas for Change. And that was an art program for Black youth artists. And it gave them a voice to talk about their issues, challenges, and lived experiences as artists through art. And those art pieces were on display at the McLaren Art Center over February. It was incredible. It was so beautiful. We had 11 artists in total, and all their art was just so beautiful. Like one kid, Jay, he goes to a school in Barrie. He actually took the map of Africa and split it up into smaller canvases, and he used words that are impactful about how Africa got so divided.
Wow.
And including, the sort of the transatlantic slave trade aspect. And it was just such a powerful piece. So when we had the opening exhibit, you would see people standing in front of that piece and reading every single word on each panel of the canvas. Another child, her father was killed in a police altercation situation in Ottawa years ago, and she had a ceramic piece, and there's a hole in the heart, and you could tell it's either her or her mother, and then there's a red string to another ceramic piece that was up on the wall, and it was like the heart, and it was called Tethered Lives. And it was just so beautiful. Now, when you look at it, you may not realize the impact, but she stood there and she answered everybody's questions, and it was so cathartic for her. So Canvas for Change is an example of, a program that we've brought. We also have done a cultural expo called Radiant Roots, and we had Black-owned businesses as vendors. We had a Pan-African fashion show, and it was just, it was everything. We had music, we had speakers, it was great. And actually just last week, we had a Black Mentor Speaker Series from a grant, and we had Michael Pinball Clemens up, and he spoke with the youth, and it was amazing to meet him. He was so gracious, so giving, and after he was done speaking, he wanted to go down in the audience, talk with kids, touch them, like shake hands,
one-on-one,
how are
absolutely.
you? And it was just beautiful. He was so lovely. So I'm just so honored to be a part of an organization that brings this kind of programming.
That's
so much
amazing.
goodness.
So much
Oh,
good.
you
Plus
can
the
feel it.
community needs it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Community
it does.
needs
It does.
For anyone who's watching at home and want to take the next step, how can they get involved?
Well, we have a website, www.makingchangesc.com. We have a newsletter, so as soon as you go to the website, there's a pop-up. You just have to enter your email, and I create the newsletters, and it goes out about every 3 months, and it shares what's upcoming for Making Change. Also on the website, you can get involved as a volunteer, sign up. We love having volunteers of all backgrounds. It doesn't matter. It's about giving. Our organization is about bringing the community together. So even our board of directors is very diverse. We have different racial backgrounds. We have all ages. It's an amazing, wonderful board I work with.
Amazing. Laura, thank you so much for being here and for
you.
sharing such a powerful and inspiring message.
You're such a positive person. Like, it's just beaming out of you. It's been so lovely. Yeah,
Oh,
honestly.
thank you.
Yeah,
I want to
thank
see
you
that
so much.
canvas.
But don't go anywhere. Laura is sticking around for a little game after the break. You won't want to miss it.
Ready for a game?
Oh, yeah.
morning. Welcome back to The Scoop. We've been talking with Laura LaChapelle about building more inclusive, engaged communities across Simcoe County and how meaningful change can start with everyday conversations. Okay, now it's time for a change of pace.
We're about to play a little game called Word Sneak. And lucky us, we're putting Laura's improv skills to the test.
So here's how it works. I've just given Laura 3 ridiculous words, phrases that she has to sneak into a story without making it too obvious. But to make things trickier, she'll also be tossing in a few decoy phrases to throw us off. So Janene and Katerina, your job is to listen closely, ask questions, and try to guess which words or phrases were the official sneak words.
Why are we always the guinea pigs?
I'll be keeping score. That's what happens when you're the one that makes up the game. Laura.
All right.
Okay, here is the topic for your story.
Wait, what kind of questions can we ask?
Yeah.
Just.
Well, if you think that she's lying, or if you think that she's like exaggerating, or
never.
you can be like, theater. Did you really like? Like, what color was the hot dog, or whatever? Like,
I love it. That's the first thing that's in your mind. All right. Okay.
We got this.
What color?
we got it.
I know
Okay.
they came multi.
But let's pretend her word was like purple hot dog. And you could be like, why was the hot dog purple? And if she doesn't have a believable answer for you, you can go, that might be,
okay.
you know.
Gotcha.
No.
I feel like the guinea pig now.
There you go. All right.
Let's go.
Okay.
Anyways, the topic for your story, Laura, is tell us about the most chaotic or unexpected thing you've witnessed at a community event or performance.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh. Well, having done theater for 40 years, I could write a book on chaos seen and heard backstage. And in fact, you know, with the shows you and I have done together, the last show, High School Musical, and we've joked about, we should write a book about seen and had to go through in High School Musical. And it was crazy. There were so many things that went on between an actor getting a concussion, potentially concussion, an hour before show, having to change actors performing on stage. I mean, I think we had everything but an explosive glitter bomb, situation going on stage. And it was like people running through. It was just like sound effects. It was just crazy. We could write a book just on High School Musical.
Explosive glitter bomb.
Yes, she got one. Perfect.
That was very
That was
interesting.
good.
I know, right? I was so into
Right.
it. That's what I was thinking about. I'm like, that has to be it.
But that's a legitimate story.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Everything but
Interesting.
that.
I love that.
So with working with children, my favorite part working with children is actually creating skits and activities. I run the Wasaga Beach Drama Camp in the summer, and I never know what kids I'm getting. So each week we create a skit, we put on the show at the end of the week. And so with this current production I'm working on with these kids, we're doing a collection of skits. One of my favorite skits that we're working on is called the North Pole Alliance for Animals of the Arctic and the Antarctica. And it's this convention of these animals, and it's led by Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And there's the Madagascar penguins, there's Happy Feet, and they're all talking about the issues of global warming. So I have written a small version of the skit prior, and because this group has 12 kids, I had to create some extra characters. So we have the very weird and bizarre Jack Frost. We've got Buddy the Elf, but Buddy the Elf also has a snowman character, but I've never seen Elf. So I said to this kid that wanted to be the snowman, hey, whatever interpretive kind of snowman you want to do, that's fine. And then like there's a few others, a polar bear from like the Polar Bear Express.
Yeah.
So this skit is going to be so much fun. And I just love doing this. I
Oh
love
my
doing that
gosh.
with kids.
Any guesses?
I want to say that Happy Feet.
Good guess. Not it.
Rudolph.
Laura, what were your words?
Interpretive snowman.
Yes! That's a ding for Laura. All right, last
Nice.
one.
Oh my God.
So one of my favorite summer skits that I've done is Scooby-Doo themed. And we all remember Scooby-Doo,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I work with the kids. Let's pick a location that's haunted. And I get a whole bunch of ideas. Haunted, haunted circus, haunted house, haunted ship. So we actually did a Titanic skit one time. I even had a kid, haunted curling rink, a haunted playhouse, a haunted zoo, where the animals are. So I take one of those ideas and create a skit. So we actually did the haunted Titanic exhibit. The kids had no idea that I'm a huge Titanic buff. Like, amazing. I love Titanic. So I was able to write this skit. It's a Scooby-Doo skit, and they're in this haunted Titanic museum.
Oh my God.
Any clue?
I feel like you gotta take this
one.
I'm getting the ding ready for my side.
Yeah.
I really have no idea.
Laura.
What? No, I'm gonna take a guess. You need to take a guess too. We gotta, up our chances a bit.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say Titanic just because you said it so much.
This is a haunted Titanic museum.
Nice, very close.
Very close. Haunted curling rink.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that right on.
Early.
And it did stick in my mind for some reason.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was completely unhinged in the best way possible.
Agreed. Up next, we're shifting gears into something a little more adorable.
After the break, we'll be joined by a local pet care company that helps keep our furry friends happy, healthy, and stress-free, whether you're home or away.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
That was so much fun.
Welcome back to The Scoop. Our next guest is someone I know personally. He walks and trains one of my dogs 3 times a week, and he's helped us navigate everything from reactivity on walks to handling stressful situations in the car and even in department stores.
He's a local trusted dog trainer who works closely with pet parents to understand what their dogs are really communicating, especially when things don't go as planned.
Please welcome Grayson Diamond and his superstar sidekick Kitty from Sunshine City Pet Care.
Yeah.
Hello. Let's start with the basics. What kinds of services do you offer through Sunshine City Pet Care, and what sets your approach apart from other pet care professionals?
So we do solo walks and behavior modification in Collingwood and the Blue Mountains. And one of the things that sets us apart is we do not use punishment or punitive methods or tools in our walks or our behavior modification. What that means is that we don't use items like prong collars, choke chains, or even leash pops to achieve the behavior results that we are looking for.
You work with a lot of reactive dogs. For people who may not know, what does reactivity actually mean? And what are some common misconceptions about it?
So reactivity is a general term for any dog who overreacts to a situation that we as their humans know is safe. So these are your dogs who lunge at another dog at the trail, or bark at passersby, or have declared a vendetta against the garbage truck.
And it's a real thing.
It really is. It's a challenge that a lot of owners go through, and they feel alone because you're not going to take your reactive dog out on the trail. So they don't see these dogs out, and they think it's something with them. But what reactivity really is a dog's cortisol or stress hormone level reaching a point where their stress supersedes their ability to remember their socialization or their training. So in the same way that we reach a point ourselves where we're overstressed and we lash out and we don't mean to, and then we calm down and realize that we were jerks, dogs have the same moment where they get stressed and they revert to their instincts. And it's not them trying to be bad. It's not them trying to be the boss. It's them doing the best they can to navigate a situation that either they aren't equipped for, or perhaps they have something else going on internally that raises their stress level, like pain, or like they've already passed 4 or 5 dogs and kept it together, but then that 5th one just sets them over the top.
Okay.
What are some of the most common stressors or situations that trigger reactivity, especially in like day-to-day life, like the walks, the car, or stores, or similar situations?
Our trail system, our gorgeous trail system here in Collingwood, is actually a huge trigger for our dogs. Believe it or not, those trails were not made with doggy etiquette in mind.
Okay.
When strange dogs meet each other and they're not limited by the leash or by their human companions, what they would do is slow down and make a nice, polite loop where they interest themselves in smells and sort of let the other dog see, the size of their body, that they're not interested in the conflict, and they'll circle around each other, continue on their way. But we humans and our human trails don't allow for that. We often ask dogs to just keep going straight toward the other dog and ask them to pass really close. But in doggy language, that is explicitly threatening. So that can actually create a situation where what's completely normal dog behavior is put through our human lens and turned into a problem, where really our dogs just need a little bit of extra support to understand that they're safe in that situation, and that's a normal thing if they're going to exist in our human world.
Wow, things that you don't really consider, because we are so human-centric with a lot of things. But great to know. Give them that space when they're passing. Give them whatever energy that they're going through. Be patient with them and be understanding and compassionate, definitely.
And when you see a dog coming, because sometimes when I walk my dogs on the trail, there are dogs that are off leash that should not be off leash.
Right.
And that's a hard situation to navigate when you have a reactive dog like I do. And in that situation, my go-to is to pull her back, right? My go-to is to restrict and to or veer off to the side of the path. But I know there are other techniques that I could.
Well, veering off to the side of the path is actually a fantastic technique. One of the things that I recommend is to, well, firstly, I always recommend to have a treat pouch with you.
Treats.
Yes, always. But I recommend tossing some treats into the brush, because then your dog will turn their body away from the other dog and be interesting themselves in a smell. And as we said before, that signals to the other dog that they're not interested in a conflict. Now, if you are at a point where your dog is too worried about the approaching trigger and you can't get their focus, then instead of jerking back because they're going to automatically tense against the lead, you want to calmly walk yourself up to their harness or collar if you anticipate a reaction, and just get a good hold and just hold them through that moment. And once they're able to respond to you again, then you go on your way and you help them come back to your walk and come back to that calm space.
Is it like a child where crouching down to their level is helpful, or?
Absolutely, that's helpful. I actually really recommend a good calm tone, getting down on their level, because anything we can do to reduce the overall stress of that situation will help them stay under that threshold longer. So I really recommend people, anywhere where they find themselves seeing another dog approaching and they get into that defensive, don't you do it, no, you leave it. Instead, what you want to do is help your dog, and I don't know if you all saw Kitty respond to my tone there, but you want to help them understand that this is okay, that they're not in danger, that they don't need to react to drive that dog away.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Amazing.
And I know you're the pro, but Kitty clearly has main character energy. Hi, Kitty. How has having her by your side helped shape your training style and approach?
Kitty was my first and my greatest lesson at looking at the whole dog and what's happening internally. Because when Kitty came home to us a couple years ago, she was a pretty broken dog. She was very reactive on sight to any other dog, to humans, especially people. We couldn't have anybody in the house. And she resource guarded me. She resource guarded toys. She resource guarded food, of course. And those are all behaviors that a lot of people would take as her being dominant or her being aggressive. But I had context on Kitty because I worked with her at the facility she was at before she came home, and I knew she had had a litter of puppies shortly before being surrendered. I knew that she was surrendered to a facility and then transferred 2 days later. I knew that in the facility she was at, she wasn't getting a lot of opportunities to do decompression activities like chewing, like sniffing, like licking. And so I knew that I wasn't dealing with a bad dog. I was dealing with a scared dog. And the more that I researched and dug in and learned, the more I realized that pretty well any behavior problem you have is going to be related to insecurity or something internal going on, and it's never about us.
Right.
For pet parents parents watching at home, what's one small thing that they can do this week to help reduce stress and build more confidence in their dog?
Slow down and let them sniff. Oh my gosh. I see so many people who are just motoring along with their dogs. And I know we have our human lives going on too. And a lot of the time, you know, we need to get to work, we need to get to that next appointment. But sniffing is so much of how dogs process and engage with and learn to be comfortable with the world. And sniffing can also be a part of how they manage their own tricky emotions. Often on the trail, when you do see another dog, you may notice that your dog stops and is abruptly very interested in a smell, and that is their communication with the oncoming dog. And so to tug them along and away from that smell, it's making a reaction more likely.
So give them the space to do what they need to do. Think of them first. If you're going for a walk, sometimes that's not possible. Just be conscientious of that is what they need to do. That is how they communicate. That is their life.
Yeah, and they need to check their female.
Always. You wouldn't ask your husband or your partner to just not look at their phone unless you wanted a serious fight.
Well, Grayson, thank you so very much. And Kitty, thank you. Oh, wait, before we go, though, can I ask the name Kitty? I've been thinking about this forever. We can't go until I figure this out. Why Kitty?
Believe it or not, she came with that name. It was a bit of an extra delight, and I will say it, a little bit of an extra driver in my choice to adopt her. It's just something delightful about a trans man with a dog named Kitty. No, it came with the dog.
I love it. Well, thank you both so very much. That was very helpful, very insightful, and I'm sure that all of us will definitely be much more conscientious of being better dog parents and just knowing them a little bit better.
Thank you for having us.
After the break, Grayson's sticking around to show us a little bit of what he actually does when working with our furry children. And he's got a quick DIY trick that might just save your dog from grooming anxiety.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Kitty would never give us any trouble. That would never happen.
Welcome back to The Scoop. We've been talking with Grayson Diamond of Sunshine City Pet Care, who's taught us that so much of our dogs' behavior is about understanding their environment and helping them feel safe.
Now it's time for him to give us some practical tips on how to support your reactive dog, especially when it comes to trimming their nails. I know that can be such a tough thing.
Definitely. It is pretty normal to struggle to get dogs to accept a nail trim. And if you can imagine how long it took you, or if you're a guy, ask your wife how long it took them to trust their podiatrist. It's totally normal for them to be a little bit anxious with you grabbing their paws. And asking them to let you trim their nails. So this is a fun little quick craft, and it's called a scratch board. All you need is this cute little palette from the dollar store, some sandpaper in around 100 to 150 grit, and some wood glue. So all you need to do is cut your sandpaper to size, glue it on there. I know, you know this game.
Oh my goodness, you're so lucky.
And if you happen to have some acrylic paint, you can make yourself a fun little nail file for your dog.
So cute.
What's great about this is that instead of relying on the very unnatural behavior of letting somebody hold their paw and cut their nails, it relies on their natural love of pawing and digging.
Okay.
So the way you teach your dog to use this, some dogs need to learn on the smooth side only because scratching this is a little bit uncomfy. So all you need to do, you're going to show us, you hold the board on a slant like this, and you're going to hold a treat underneath it.
Oh, she knows.
And your dog will eventually paw at the board trying to get it. Kits. You're blocking the camera, Miss Ma'am. There we go. You dig? Yeah, good girl. So Kitty already knows how to do this. Your dog might take a little bit longer to figure out what you're asking, but again, because pawing to get that treat comes so naturally to them, it shouldn't take very long. And once they're used to that, flip it over to the rough side. Same thing, treat on an angle. Dig. Good girl. Yes.
Amazing.
Something that can really help is to specifically wait for that terrible grating noise, because then your dog learns that they get the treat if they make good contact. Yeah, with the sandpaper. Good girl. One more time. Yeah. It does not take very long to wear down their nails. In fact, I find they get so enthusiastic that I have to watch and make sure she doesn't go at it too hard.
How do you actually know when to stop?
So one of the really great things about this is that because they, I know, they so much enjoy and naturally take to the behavior, if they stop and they go away, you know it's because they're done, because you know they're getting close to the quick and they're like, oh, that's too uncomfortable to be worth the treat. So unlike nail trims where they want to get away from the start, they'll tell you when they're done.
Okay.
And while this isn't a perfect solution because it doesn't get the dew claw and you still have to manage the back nails, it does give you a grace period where you can start to work on your dog's feelings about the nail clippers and slowly desensitize them, which is really great for everybody.
Aww.
I love this.
Good girl.
Oh, Kitty, you're so smart.
She's a pretty good dog.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today, but we'll be back next Wednesday with even more stories, surprises, and special guests.
A huge thank you to our guests, the team at LaunchPad, LaChapelle, and Grayson Diamond, and Kitty for sharing your innovation insights and helpful tips with us today. Good job.
So what's the Scoop Georgian Bay? You tell us.
If you've got an event, story, or local business we should know about, pop us off an email or drop us a comment below. We'd love to feature you.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Adios.